everybody. If you are a foodie, then I think you will be fascinated by this video, because I will be showing pictures of a 45 dish menu that I enjoyed at the world famous and very influential Bulli restaurant in northern Spain at the end of May. So in fact here, this is as a souvenir, this was the menu that we had. And indeed it's good that they printed it out, because there were so many impressions, like a symphony that evolves in taste, that otherwise I would have forgotten half of them. So, but we made pictures of every dish, so, and I hope that will be interesting. Now, for those who know, and for those, let's say, who come to this video by the YouTube search, you probably know already about El Bulli. Those who are my normal subscribers, I will give a very brief introduction. In fact, this book is A Day at El Bulli is an incredible Bible, you could say, that shows how it is to work at this world famous restaurant. A restaurant which was crowned, let's say, in the last 8 years or so, it was 5 times #1 and definitely a few times very close to #1. In fact, the restaurant here with chef Ferran Adria was considered as one of the precursors, one of the first leading restaurants for molecular cuisine. And in fact, I think molecular cuisine has a bit a reputation is maybe just gimmicky. Well, I can tell you from having been there, it's obvious that indeed they use science to better understand certain processes, but the result is all to have a better end result, or more intense taste of natural ingredients. A few pictures. Oops. In fact, where is it? The restaurant is in a bay at the Mediterranean Sea, close to Rosas, which is a place at the coast for where you typically go for swimming and sunbathing. I mean, and it's very close to France. And in fact, you can see it a bit here. It's actually a very small, cozy restaurant. And here you see people working in the kitchen with chef Ferran Adria being at work. What else did I have here? To give you an idea about the kind of dishes that they make, this is melon and ham, but reinvented with a kind of a ham kind of stock, you could say, and little spheres of melon juice that are still liquid inside, most likely. So you see, it's a bit playing with expectations and changing the structure of well-known things. Now, this book indeed has a lot of recipes. I can tell you that for the normal home cook, there's almost nothing you can make, because you need specific ingredients and also often specific machines. Now, still, there is a so-called spherification kit which I have, and it's worth googling for it, the El Bulli spherification kit, which has small portions of some of these products and a number of recipes, and then you can make quite a few things already, and I will show them in my video. So here is all pictures about, yes indeed, about how things go in the restaurant with furthermore recipes. Here, look at the kind of avant-garde things that you may get. So indeed, it is far from a normal cuisine, and it's really, you're being led on discovery, you could say. It's really it's fun. There are things, taste and ingredients appearing early in the menu and then later coming back. So it's really a whole voyage that you go full of surprises. Here you see the entrance. See, it's actually a cozy small place, and something that you may not expect from such a high-end restaurant is that here's Ferran again. Something you would probably not expect is the fact that it is actually very cozy. No, it's actually very friendly, the atmosphere. It's not stiff upper lip at all. It is, yes, it's more a relaxed, informal atmosphere with very friendly staff that are really obviously proud for the job that they do and are eager to help you and explain a lot. So it was absolutely not a stiff affair, and that was a surprise. The restaurant, here you see the entrance. Next to the entrance there is this painting of a dog. In fact, that was El Bulli, I believe it was the name of this dog, before Mr. Adria bought the restaurant, and he kept the name of the restaurant. It was a simple beach restaurant, you could say, and he gradually made it into a temple of discovery. Now, as you could see here on the book, well, maybe you can see it, 200,000 requests for 8,000 places every year. Indeed, the success is such that you must be quite lucky to be. It's like a lottery that you can get in. Luckily, my friend had a reservation, and he was kind enough to invite me to be part of the table. So that's how I got there. And what's also interesting, they will in fact stop half this year. The restaurant will close for 2 years, and it will reopen as a kind of a creativity study center for gastronomy, where you probably can still come for eating, but more on an occasional basis. However, what is very interesting, Mr. Adria will soon open, or has opened, I'm not really certain, a high-end tapas bar in Barcelona, where several of these creative dishes will be served there in tapas style. In fact, it will be called Tickets, I believe, the tapa bar, and there will be no less than 6 seating areas where you get in every area different kind of dishes. So that's quite cool. Yes. So okay. So here is the entrance, and the first thing that happens is that you are brought to the kitchen, which is quite strange. In fact, there are 50 people working in the restaurant, and 60 people, I believe, can eat. So that's an enormous ratio, but you will see the kind of high-end, highly complex dishes that you get. You need a lot of people. What's also remarkable here in the restaurant is it's pretty quiet. People are very focused and silent. It's not what you are used to when you see a professional kitchen in action. So you see the people here hard at work. And so then we were brought, our table were brought to there's a terrace there, and that's where I noticed already the relaxed atmosphere of it all. And we begin with, indeed, the 45 dish marathon. Now, these are not 45 big dishes, that would be impossible. In the end, I can tell you, of course, we were saturated, but we were not exploding, because many of the dishes are luckily very small and usually not very heavy. Also interesting, as you will see throughout my slideshow, typically there are not many expensive ingredients. You will see there's once a plate with a bit of caviar and once a succulent lobster, but the other ingredients for the large part are not necessarily the most expensive ones. It's all about with normal ingredients being very creative and letting you rediscover taste. That's what it's all about. That makes it so interesting. Bon. Okay, so here, this was a cocktail. What this is, well, and I was thinking, because me as an amateur cook, and I asked a lot of questions to the very helpful waiter. This is a caipirinha. In fact, this is I think I've got another. No, I don't have another picture. This is a stick of sugar cane that I believe was marinated in caipirinha, and you in essence you nibble on it and suck the liquid out of it again. So it's really a transformation of your expectations. It's very tasty. I was wondering if you try that out. I cannot easily find sugar cane where I live, but if you would cut that out and marinate it, would that work? I don't know, but it was definitely a fun way to start. Here, this is another cocktail. Now, this looks like you could say like an unappealing kind of sandwich, an industrial sandwich. And in fact, so you see this white, it's very fragile. It almost falls apart when you hold it in your hand. You have to be very careful. And you see some green stuff there in between. well, that's a kind of a mint syrup that you have, but in your mouth it becomes a mojito. It falls apart, becomes more or less liquid again, and it becomes a mojito. It's really a surprise. So that's the kind of, it's all about surprises. In fact, this was a wonderful dish, and I asked what this white thing was. It's a kind of a meringue in which they also add apple juice. But, well, I know if I would make a meringue, it will never be as airy as that. So probably, well, certainly they must have done something clever with it to get it as airy as that, because I think it was only 3 grams heavy or so. And here then, third cocktail, gin fizz with the famous olives. That's the one of the 2 things I've already been able to make. So here the gin fizz was, at the bottom of the glass was a kind of lemon and gin, of lime and gin mix, cold, and then a warm foam over it, so that if you drink it, it's an interesting effect that the top of your mouth is warm and your tongue is cold. It's quite amusing. But here, especially those famous olives, they look like olives. It's a reinvention of an olive. It's like a little balloon with a thin skin that explodes into liquid olive juice in your mouth. Now, if you Google or if you look at YouTube, there are videos about spherification. So this is, meanwhile, this is a classic. This is one of the things that they do since years, and it always comes back, this technique. And I did it myself. It took me 3 times to get it right, because first I didn't use, how you call it, purified water. I just used water from a bottle. That's not good enough. In essence, you blend olives for the juice. You put them through a very tight sieve. It's called a super bag, so there's no fibers in it. You add a certain product in it, and then you also take another bath with distilled water, the purified water, and with another product, and then you go with 1 spoon of the olive juice. You quickly turn them around in the water, and immediately the reaction of the 2 products causes that you have that skin forming, and the inside stays olive juice, and it's really fun, so that you can do. Then a few nibbles, one of which I really want to emulate. This is here. So these are also considered as part of the 45 dishes. That's how it goes. It's kind of a reinvented kind of a peanut, and in fact, mimetic peanuts is how it's called. So there is a very fragile solid outer core with peanut juice that explodes in your mouth. Really remarkable, really incredible. Very tasty. And in fact, yes, I have to say this, the menu that we had, I think it turned quite a bit around nuts. There were nuts and in fact also cheese, you could say. There were 2 ingredients that were coming back several times during the menu. And it really depends a bit when you go there. The menu evolves slowly. There are probably dishes that they have almost the whole year. Well, in fact, they serve half a year, but during the whole period, but then they evolve a bit on reactions of the audience, also probably what they are able to find in good quality. So our menu was pretty nutty, you could say. Now here already a climax. Yes, I have to watch out that I do not exaggerate with superlatives all the time, but okay. So you see, this is it's called pistachio ravioli. You could eat it completely. Even the bag also, it looks like plastic, but I think it's maybe egg white, I'm not certain. And in it is kind of a pistachio liquid with still a nut. The dust, I'm not certain anymore what it was. It was an explosion of taste. It was really incredible. My 2 friends who were with me, they all made surprise noises when they had that. It was so good. And I asked, and in essence what they do is they blend good quality pistachio oil with pistachio nuts for a long time, and then still add the nuts, but again probably I miss some ingredients, and then they make a kind of a ravioli out of it. I'm curious to try that, but I'm not certain how I could make the ravioli. But yeah, perhaps I can simply make a kind of a little spoon that you have to taste as a little nibble. So I'm not certain, but I want to research this because it was so incredible, and for what I read, it's indeed one of his famous dishes. Allez. Yeah, like this. This dish, incredible. It's called the Parmesan cheese macaron. So we have now 2 dishes with Parmesan, and indeed it looks like, you know, the French macaron, those cookies, but it's something very airy with inside. Indeed, you have to put it immediately in your mouth because inside is again a kind of a bubble of liquid. I don't know if it was Parmesan or maybe mozzarella was also in there, but it was very Parmesan-y and still pretty light in weight. It was really a remarkable shot of Parmesan. And then here the other Parmesan nibble. It's called the Parmesan Porra. I don't know what the porra is, but I think it's this stick. I think I've got here a picture in my hand. You see it's kind of a, I don't know what they did. It's with, again, the kind of egg white around it. Again, I'm not certain what it is. With that Parmesan-like interior. It's a bit like, you know, those bags with chips, cheese nibbles. It tasted a bit like that, but you could say on several levels higher in refinement. Well, notice, by the way, we are still just eating with the hands, and that will continue for a bit more before we get cutlery. Now, so that was the last that we had on the terrace, and now we go inside. And then that was this fun thing we got here. It's a gorgonzola balloon. Indeed, it's like a thin, very cold balloon that they put there on the plate. Look at that. It's like a dinosaur egg. And I think if you don't know El Bulli before, I think you begin to see what a voyage into the unknown this was. It was really full of surprises. And here one of the nice waiters, I mentioned already, this very nice people there. They make a little opening with 2 spoons, and they grate. I forgot because I had so many impressions, but I think it was nutmeg over it, and then you just pull it out with your hand, pull pieces with your hands. You see here that we progressed quite a bit, and very nice, very gorgonzola-ish. Here this was also very fun. So that in fact we got that together with the gorgonzola balloon. This is an olive oil chip. So it's like, again, it's a dish of 1 gram or so. It's around 8 centimeter in diameter. It's crispy, but there is also, it has an olive oil taste of a kind of a good quality extra virgin olive oil. Quite special. I think, yes, here you see it, that I take it. So it's crunchy and yet it's olive oil. It's remarkable. Notice also, by the way, the plates. There are some really special plates, like the ravioli that you just saw was on a kind of on a metal chain, you could say, that they put that. So it's also very high-end and avant-garde. Here, this was one of the best things. Flowers paper. So they give you a folded, closed piece of, you could say, handmade paper, and in it is this what looks like paper with flowers. You know, in art environments you can find that sometimes, but you could eat it, and this was incredible. It's different flowers with different flavors, smells, and taste. It was art that you were eating. Look, I've got it here in the hand, and I noticed that, you know, it's not easy to make a good picture. I will go back here. The paper that you saw, so it is on the real paper, but here you see a bit the texture still. It's a bit like that. We call it in French, they call it barba papa. In Dutch, suikerspin. I'm not certain how you call that in English. It's a kind of that sugary cloud you get sometimes that kids love to eat at big events. You know, those a stick with a lot of sugar, like that is very light, like wool. Well, it's kind of that texture that it has, but it's sweet. It was sweetish, but less sweet, and where all those flowers were in. Lovely, lovely stuff. Really, really incredible. Now here. This nibble was sashimi. Yes, they also ask a week or so in advance, they ask if you have allergies, and to be certain they also ask it just before, so if you have an allergy for seafood, for example, or in this case if you had an allergy for nuts, then they had to give you a lot of other dishes. Well, in fact, in principle, this was not a spectacular dish in theory. I mean, this is a kind of a sashimi kind of shrimp, but I tell you how remarkably good this was, because I love sashimi, I love fresh raw fish, but this was on such a level, so it was a lukewarm body here, with a bit of salt on it, sea salt on it, and of really, really very good quality, really remarkable. Okay, and then here to refresh the mouth a bit, something that is also Japanese inspired and arty rather than, well, and a bit of a joke you could say, in my opinion, soy crystal. So this, what you see is difficult to see, but it's folded paper, and in it you see shards of ice, just watery ice. There's a bit of wasabi there, and so the spicy wasabi, and concentrated soy sauce. And you got the first kind of cutlery you could say that you got was a tweezer to pick out the pieces of ice, the crystals. So and with the soy sauce and the wasabi, so it's like you have as a refresher, you could say, when you eat sushi, you put that in your mouth. I think it was just water, the ice. It was just the rest. So, but it's especially the science fiction like structure of it that was amusing. So, and then here came three things together. This was soy matches, so you see the soy theme continued. 1 second, I have to check with my camera. Okay, so indeed you started nibbling from the gold side onwards, in like concentrated soy. So they had that salty effect. Here then, still Japanese inspired. This was their miso soup. Look again, this is again one of those spherical bubbles that contain the miso soup. They paint, they brush. I forgot what they brushed on it, and I forgot what the white part was. But anyway, you can imagine in your mouth it becomes the miso soup of a good quality. And then here also, that was a third thing. So they served the three things together. You can recognize that's the nori, the Japanese algae like they use for sushi, that were filled with something quite special. It's a nori ravioli with lemon is on the menu. There was something crunchy inside that I could not identify. It was one of those dishes that I liked a lot, but sometimes so you taste and then you wonder, do I like this? And then after a while, yes, you think, yes, it's interesting, it's surprising. Also, by the way, for most of these dishes, some of them amongst the best I've ever tasted, like the pistachio ravioli, they are also good because they were in such small portions. You wouldn't necessarily want a full plate of that. It's more, and that's interesting. Now there were a few that I could have easily eat a full plate of, and this nori was probably one of them. Here I took a bite and there was something red inside. I don't know what it was. It was very, very special and very, very good. Then here, also beautiful kind of dish, asparagus with miso. So these were the tips of white asparagus, and still a bit crunchy, remarkable. So it was done but still crunchy, little flowers, and you see two kind of pastes there. One was miso and the other one was with hazelnut, I believe. I'm not, maybe I'm making a mistake, but there were two differences, and I think also because the nut was a theme that always came back. So. Bon. Good. In fact, that's a complete brown that you have here. And, well, it was a rather, this is not, I would say, a high-end dish from an invention point of view, but an example of something simple done extremely well. So it's to use everything from the shrimp. This little spoon had a bit of highly concentrated stock made from the shell of such of the little critters, of a very good intense taste. And then this was here the lukewarm shrimp with a bit of sesame seed of again succulent quality. And then what they did, they fried, I think they fried the little feet so you could eat them crunchily like chips. But I had that already once in a good quality teppanyaki, better than most, in the Okura Hotel in Amsterdam. I noticed that they indeed they kept the feet of the seafood and they indeed left them a long time on the plate to make them like crunchy chips. So, but it's an example of something simple with one little ingredient, how good you can be. Here, this is one of those avant-garde dishes that I liked quite a lot, even if it requires some adaptation. And it's true that my one of my friends, he was less enamored with it. So, in fact, these are like a big flower. These were white rose petals, drizzled with an artichoke sauce and a little bit of dill. And here there's a piece of silver paper you could eat as for the art of it. Really special, really elegant in taste. In fact, I like this quite a bit. And here that came with it. Look again, a nice presentation with kind of with this iron. It's a lot of iron that they use. This is ham and ginger canapé. So in fact they use the fat of that very good Spanish Iberico ham. It's probably my favorite ham in the world. Is that good quality Spanish ham of pigs that roam free in the woods and eat acorns all the time. Well, from the fat they made a kind of a gelatine. And you see here at the end still something sticking out. That's where it's on. It was it was a stick with ginger taste, and I don't know what. So it a very thin, almost transparent. Yes, like a sheet of paper but hard. That's how thin it was with ginger taste. This was one of the very best dishes, most intense taste I've ever had. And also an example of something that's so good because indeed it's so small. It's like this in your hand, you know, like this. Yes, you could have easily a few of those, but better just one or two you could at most say, and not a full plate. What's here? Yes, this was shockingly good. Oyster. This below there's an oyster, as you could have expected, with little pieces of bone marrow of veal, and here you see the foam on it is probably, I think it was air of salt. It's one of the things that El Bulli pioneered, is to make foams with taste, and there is something coming back. This was incredibly good, and so you had to take a bit and put it on that leaf, you see, with a spoon, and eat it together. I think I could have used one leaf more because there was quite a bit of oyster in there. It was very, very good. So here about the foam, so that indeed came back. Very creative, and I think it's something I can make with my spherification kit because it includes a product to make foam. This is Parmesan air. So this is kind of what we call that in English, those isolation boxes, huh? And it weighs almost nothing. So in fact they made, I believe you first shave Parmesan, put it in hot water, and then add that product and put the blender so that it begins to foam, and I think then that they freeze it. Must be something like that. So it weighs almost nothing. So the idea is that you begin tasting that, and here you get muesli, like you get for breakfast, with freeze-dried. It's a technology that they were also among the first to, not among the first, it's used for astronauts, for example, but they really did research how to integrate freeze-dried fruits, like freeze-dried raspberries and strawberries and nuts, again the nuts, into high-end cuisine. So the idea was that you sprinkled that a bit, and you see here, like the foam, frozen foam weight is almost nothing in weight, but a strong Parmesan taste. Very, very nice. So we continue with another classic. In fact, this is their you see again the bit the humor to make you rediscover classics. Carbonara. So what is it? But here the interesting thing is the tagliatelle. The tagliatelle, and that's it's actually made of a very good quality chicken stock that they turn into a gelatin. In fact, they add agar to it, which is that I think it comes from seaweed. The gelatin like powder, and what is different from animal-based gelatin is that if you heat it up, it still stays solid up to a certain extent, but you can make a warm dish with it. So in fact what you do is you make, in this case, a chicken stock with a carefully measured portion of agar. It was poured into on a big plate, and then the tagliatelle was cut out. But so the amusing thing is you eat it as a texture in your mouth as tagliatelle, but it tastes like the chicken stock that would be part of a sauce, you could say. And there's also here you see little pieces of ham and cheese probably. It was very good, a bit heavy but very, very fun, and it's in fact something, if you want to, you can approach yourself. Probably not everything, because they must do very clever things otherwise, but you get an idea. Here this was, and I must say I liked it. My two companions were less impressed. Well, no, they were impressed, but it was less for them. It's one of those few dishes with expensive ingredients. This is a bit of caviar that you get there. Two kinds of caviar, and two sauces, and one of them one of them is from hazelnut. No, that's how it, no. The caviar itself, it looks like caviar, but it's made from hazelnuts. And then the cream here that you have is made from real caviar, something like that. So it was very special in taste. And notice again the theme of the nuts coming. The brown thing was another, I think it was something Japanese in style, soy-like. Oyster sauce maybe, I'm not certain. I cannot, you begin to see there were so many tastes, you cannot remember everything if you don't write it down immediately. So quite special, quite one of those dishes that you have to learn to appreciate. This was it looks strange, eh? It looks like something truly alien. Well, indeed the hazelnut that we just had in the sauce or in the caviar itself came back here. In this stick, it's called a pora, and I should look up what that means actually. It was extremely fragile. You look at it and it almost breaks. So you had to very carefully take it up with the thick side and begin dribbling from there on. So, and inside it was full of liquid hazelnut, with a kind of liquid, but it seemed thinner than water. Very remarkable, and a nutty shock of taste. And look here how the texture is with all the bubbles inside. Very special, very, very good. Very, really art. Allez. Bon. Yes, here another, we continue on the nut theme. Shabu shabu of pine nuts. So in fact 3 little bags of ravioli with 3 kinds of pine nut cream, you could say. And here this is just, I believe it was just water with lemon in it. And so you just quickly soak, because they dissolve otherwise, the bags in the water here. You put it in your mouth, and really a surprise of texture, intense, nutty taste, like nothing you had before, and again something you have to learn to appreciate, and I liked it quite a bit. So you can also see that quite a bit of the dishes until now were quite vegetarian in nature. Ah yes, this is something I should investigate if I can somehow approach some of the genius in it. It was so incredibly good. This is it's called Perocchico cake. Now in fact it's it's a basis again of that kind of egg white light structure that looks a bit like crunchy plastic, but it's perfectly edible. It's a bit sugary. A carpaccio, so meaning very thin slices of a local mushroom. There is here a bit of, I believe it was yogurt, maybe with some agar or something similar to give it that bit of jelly-like structure. They grated some macadamia nut on it. Something is difficult to find here in Belgium, unfortunately. And here the white, there are elderflowers around it. So this was, yes. So in fact, I think that my iPad had that it scales down the resolution. So zooming in doesn't always help so much, but you see the little flowers. So remarkable in taste. Quite light and intense and special, like something you've not had before. It's something I must investigate. Here then we go, let's say the Italian way, gnocchi, but quite special gnocchi. Polenta gnocchi with coffee, so there's a bit of dusted coffee on it. There is saffron in there, and here this I recognized correctly. It was not exactly cream, but it's skimmed milk. When you boil milk, full fat milk, you get this cream at the top. So there's a bit of that skimmed milk, and here the capers even cut in two. So very special, very Italian. There was also, I think, there was also again parmesan there to bring that Italian back, that ingredient back. As I mentioned, ingredients go, and come back. Very special and very nice. A very nice tappa. And this here, yes, this was the one dish that we almost didn't have a picture of, because this my friend, she began to be quite saturated, and she had only half her plate, so I could quickly make a picture before they took it away. And this was very special. It's called the mimetic almond. So you had pieces of almonds, but also liquid almond that were also, like you could say, kind of little bags. And the brown stuff, I forgot what it was. I think it was salty in taste, but I cannot remember. So an almond dish, and you will see almond comes back later in Andalusian gazpacho reinvention. That's one of those dishes where I was carefully eating and tasting and thinking, but do I like this actually? So it was because it was so out of the ordinary in feeling in the mouth and in taste, and in the end, yes, it was quite remarkable. Anyway, out of 45 dishes, it's logical that you don't like all of them equally. But it's part of the adventure. Here a super highlight, my god, and a bit shocking, you could say, because it's an ingredient that not everybody would eat. So it's seafood. The red thing, I believe it's called the barnacle in English. It's a very high quality kind of shell food thing. So that in itself is quite good. This is probably the salty foam, but here the green part is sea anemone. The anemone from the sea, something you wouldn't think about with all the little tendrils. It's like something from a horror movie that you're eating. So it doesn't look nice. It looks like something that you would see being eaten in a Star Wars movie, but it was very nice. And I cannot remember what the orange thing was. Probably like a roux, kind of a fishy kind of intense sauce, but I cannot remember. Very special dish, and I liked it quite a bit. So yes, lulo is a South African dish. This fruit, and they hollow that out, and then I think they use the fruit of it together with other things to make kind of a ceviche. So here, a ceviche is that vinegar marinated fish. Here is just clam fluid that they put here with a bit of ice. At the back was again the clam fluid, and again a bit of vinegar in both sides. And something green that I forgot, but I remember that at the sides this was intense coriander kind with vinegar. Very nice in taste this. And here that came with it. So it's again the ceviche. But ceviche is the approximation of what you have. It's not exactly that of clams, but I think it's the lula fruit that they used for that as well, so you could slurp it out, one of them. Very nice. Next one, an ode to Mexico, and this was amazing. It was a taco, but so it's made of corn, but the structure, remember that when I talked about the flowers in the paper, it's a bit like that sugary texture. Well, that was that same kind of texture, but made of corn. In it was mole, the South no, the Mexican sauce with chocolate and peppers, and guacamole. So it's kind of a reinvention of a taco, of an Oaxaca taco, in a high-end way that tasted Mexican and at the same time tasted very new, very nice. Here we go back to Andalusia with the reinvention of the gazpacho. So this is one of those moments to refresh yourself a bit, to calm down. Gazpacho is that fantastic cold soup. Well, there is in Andalusia, and I didn't have the original before, a white gazpacho that's famous, and that's with almonds and garlic. And so remember, we had already almonds before, so here now they come back. And is in essence the center was ice crystals with an intense gazpacho taste, and then it was a kind of a garlicky almond cream, or maybe only almond cream around it, and some drizzled super quality olive oil. So yeah, you scooped in fact both the liquid and the ice, and it was this very refreshing gazpacho. So I will definitely make the normal white gazpacho now that I know the taste. Bon. This was another dish of which I could have had a full plate, you could say. This was lobster, so one of the other I could say somewhat more expensive ingredient. Very succulent lobster, 2 pieces, with they called it Shanghai sauce, with you see the sesame seed, probably soy sauce, and also cardamom is in it. I should check if Shanghai sauce is a generic sauce. I didn't know it, and I forgot to look it up before this video. It is more a classic dish. I think that this is something you can make yourself if you replicate a high quality sauce. I don't think there was anything experimental about it, but that's okay. I mean, it was simply incredibly good. Shanghai lobster it was called. And now, before we go to the real main dishes, yes indeed, we were not yet at the main dishes. I mentioned there was cardamom in the sauce. Well, here, of the lobster, here you had little bags of toasted cardamom, it was not for eating, it was just for smelling, that specific smoky smell you got at the table to get you in the mood for the main dishes, which were all game based, and in fact they used it was all around hare, the hare, the big rabbit, you know. And so what was it then? Well, first a hare fritter, you know. It's exactly what you expect. It's a little ball, a crunchy ball, with, in this case, with kind of very liquid kind of hare essence. Very nice in taste. So a little very good nibble. Then this, in my opinion, was incredible. Game meat cappuccino. So at the bottom was extremely intense stock. So of the hare again. And then this is a chocolate foam. Well, chocolate and game is often used together, so it's not a surprise that it was very nice. And what you had to do here, you had to use with your spoon, go really to the bottom of the cup and scoop up both the stock and a bit of the foam. This was incredible, and incredibly intense and incredible in qualities. You could say this is classic cuisine done at an extremely good level. And then here, yes, the main plate existed of a few things. This is this is a blackberry risotto with game meat sauce, but the sauce had gotten a bit thicker, probably also some gelatin like something, and some risotto and berries. And here then the main dish. This is the largest piece of meat we had. It's smaller than a thumb. Is a succulent part of hare with bolognese, hare ravioli with bolognese and blood. They call that their bolognese sauce. And where is the blood then? Well, in this class they said it was blood, but it wasn't. It was just, it's to see if you want to taste it. It was a kind of a berry sauce, thickened berry sauce, and that was, of course, very, very nice. Here you see again the berries with a bit thicker, and here yes, the main dish. This one doesn't bring well on photo, and here also again little bags with skin around sauce. And here the blood. You really felt like a vampire when you see that in your glass. Ah yes, I forgot to say about the wines. What was also remarkable about El Bulli. So the idea is, well, yes, it's difficult to get in. That is of course true. But the idea is that if you get in, then it should be for everybody. So there was a very reasonably priced wine there. We drank local wine. And it was very reasonably priced. Yes, you could have taken a high-end wine. But that is also nice about the restaurant. It's in that context, yes, it's high-end what they do, but it's also cozy and informal and do well. Okay, the menu was not cheap, as you can imagine. So many people, so many ingredients, but you never had the feeling that that you were paying too much. Not at all even. Here then, so we took, in fact, after that we took a 8 minutes break because we really needed a little break, and we walked outside briefly, and then we came back for the desserts. So this one, in fact, they gave a few things together. Wintry snow with yuzu, that's the yellow fruit there, and sweet green beans. I think it's red beans, but the menu says green beans. That's very strange. So there's some sesame, the yuzu kind of jam that they make, marmalade maybe. The wintry snow, I cannot remember if it had taste or if it was just watery. I cannot remember. But here I remember this is, you know, that very good Japanese dessert with the red beans. Well, it's just a few of those. But you see, they also sprinkled something red on it that I have no idea what it was. And it was very nice, not heavy, and that was good because all those small dishes in total make quite a bit. And so really heavy desserts would not have been a good idea. And here it came together with the kind of yuzu nigiri, so like a sushi, kind of a foamy substance that I couldn't pinpoint below that. And a piece of yuzu fruit. Very nice, very light dish. Here then, another dessert, yogurt blini. It was yogurt with honey, liquid honey, very liquid honey, remarkably liquid honey. And this here, the blini itself, is not the classic blini. No, that would have been too easy. But it's made of a meringue similar to, remember at the very beginning, that mojito sandwich. Well, something like that. There were some crystals on that I couldn't pinpoint, and a little flour, and it was very, very good. You had to put it immediately in your mouth because of the liquid inside. One of those things that I think you cannot make yourself. What they did here is a crystal cake, and it seems that this is a nod to a local Spanish dish, and I forgot what it was. Coca de vidre, I see on my menu, and it's indeed it was very science fictiony to eat, very fun, but maybe less in taste not that spectacular. It was a kind of a sugary stick with nuts. Yes, the nuts come back again. It was very good, but it was especially the look and the texture that was nice. Notice again the nice presentation. Yes, and they came together with these donuts, mini donuts from extremely dark chocolate. Inside, again, you had to put them immediately, completely in your mouth. There was a kind of a coconut liquid. In total, you had a bit the kind of taste of the Bounty candy bar. It was a bit like that, but more refined, less salty. Also very nice little dessert. We're almost at the end. Here, this one looks like something you can make yourself, but this was executed at such a level that, it's humbling. For me as a hobby cook, the whole experience indeed was both inspiring and humbling. Because this here, what is this? If you think about it, is carpaccio, so thin slices of strawberries. And of course they did the effort of choosing them all of the same size. There's a bit of mint there, a kind of a coulis, kind of a strawberry sauce. And here, I think it was a kind of a Greek kind of yogurt, or maybe a white cheese, I forgot. And you sprinkle, you get a bag, I think you get a bag, or maybe the lady sprinkled it on for you, some deep freeze-dried strawberries. And this was incredibly good. It was not heavy as a dish, it was simply incredibly good. So I wonder what is the secret, how you make that so much better than, well, when you make it yourself, it's always good. You know, you probably did this, you know it's good. But how that this was several levels better than I've ever experienced, it's a mystery for me. Now here, then this is the very end. You get, during the coffee, you get this chocolate box. All you can eat, you could say, but honestly, we were not so hungry anymore. So different kinds of chocolate. You see here, this one's, I think I've got a more picture of it with the mint leaves inside. Very beautiful. Chocolates with different taste. Very nice is here this red thing. Here looks like seaweed. It's very beautiful. It's with little splashes of strawberry and then freeze dried again. Very intense and sour. Very nice in taste. And here you see the chocolates with the leaves and other chocolates. This was a spongy kind of white chocolate. There with little pieces of corn are in white chocolate. In these big ones was one of the highlights, in fact, of this box. It's a whole freeze-dried strawberry in that white chocolate. Now I must say, me as a Belgian, we have extremely high-end chocolatiers like Dominique Personen and Pierre Marcolini here, and I don't think this was better than what our chocolatiers do. It's the same quality, so that is but it was of course perfect. It was within restaurants. I've never had better chocolate in a restaurant than here. So okay, so this was it. So quite an exposition. I hope you found this interesting. For me as an amateur cook, it was an experience of a lifetime. So much creativity, and the idea that with all those small nibbles, you like a symphony, things build up and go away, and you get, sometimes it's like you get kind of an emotion of discovery, like, you know, when as a child you discover an intense taste, you know, it's that kind of effect that you get. It's really art. I never had the feeling of going to a normal 3-star restaurant. This is really a trip into the unknown with a lot of creativity. So I'm anyway, the good thing is, while the famous El Bulli restaurant will close, many of those things that you've seen, similar dishes or inspired with the same techniques, you will be able to taste them in Barcelona in that super tapas bar that Mr. Adria will be starting, or is started. I think it's not yet open. So that is a discovery. And now already, also, much more affordable. In San Sebastian, there is, which is that other Spanish city, which has a number of top quality restaurants. They have a fantastic, there's a fantastic tapa bar called A Fuego Negro, the Black Flame, and I've been there, and it's also, so you have their little tapas, full of surprises, also using some of these techniques. I have their cookbook. I bought, it's humbling because you think little tapas, but they're a lot of work with also those strange ingredients. So that is also a way to discover this kind of taste evolution. So it will be possible. I mean, book a trip to Barcelona, and when Adria's tapas bar is open, and you can discover much of this yourself. So I hope you found this interesting, and feel free to leave feedback.